Senate State Affairs come back to order after the brief at ease. So we have, I believe we had had a couple rounds of public testimony. I don't know if we had officially closed it. We will, I believe that's what we have now. Our folks, if anybody here in the room that hasn't already testified, so we're going to close public testimony. We went through a pretty exhaustive route on that, if there's no objection. So, Senator Coghill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we have a CS for sponsor substitute for Senate Bill 1, so I move that we adopt for our working document the substitute for Senate Bill 1, which is the S version dated 4/15.
I will object. I'm going to ask Mr. Brzezinski to identify himself and then go through the changes in the proposed CS.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Brandon Brzezinski, staff to Senator Stoltz.
Pronounce it right one of these days.
I'm going to walk through the changes in the new CS, and I'm going to try to be brief because a lot of them are just reinstating existing statutes that the prior CS was repealing. So in Section 1, on page 4, line 7, there's a change. They changed the word shall to may adopt regulations. Page 4, lines 18 and 25, there's a change from all the notice of prohibition. All smoking prohibited by law signs are reduced the maximum penalty from $100 to $50. Section 1835.316, powers and duties of the commissioner from the previous CS has been deleted. Section 2 of the new CS, page 5, starting on page 5, line 27. Section 1835.336, violations and civil penalties from the previous CS has been deleted and amended to reflect existing statute 1835.340A, civil complaints and penalties, which requires the commissioner to develop and maintain a procedure for processing reports of violations, and conforming changes have also been added to this section. Section 3, starting on page 6, line 1, it's reinstating existing statute and adding conforming changes. Sections 4, which is page 6, Section 5 on page 6, Section 6 on page 6, and Section 7 Section 7 starting on page 7, line 3. They're reinstating existing statutes and adding conforming language. Section 8, Sections 9, Sections 10, Sections 11 are again reinstating existing statute and adding conforming changes. And for clarity, the previous CS, the Hess version, had all these statutes eliminated, so we're putting them back in the State Affairs CS.
Comments from the sponsor?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the bill exists and has survived as something designed to protect Alaskans from the effects of secondhand smoke while they're at the workplace, but I think it reinforces the fact that the law is largely self-enforcing and not designed to be heavy-handed or punitive. So I think that's all still there, and I appreciate the work.
Senator Witkowski.
Can you just explain to me what exactly you removed? What you changed in this provisions you just talked about?
The overlay, Mr. Brzezinski.
Through the chair, Senator Witkowski. From the Hess CS, the original version of the bill, we removed the new penalties and fines, and we also changed. I didn't get to it yet, but we changed it from the Department of Health and Social Services to the Department of Environmental Conservation, where it exists currently. We removed the powers and duties of the commissioner section, which does not exist currently in current statute, which included the power to adopt regulations, which DEC does not currently have. And we reinstated all the existing penalties and fines and enforcement abilities of the Department of Public Safety and the Department of Environmental Conservation.
And just the rationale behind putting it in
Probably that's a better policy question for me, too. I think it's consistent with the intent of the sponsor. I think Health and Social Services, I think there was a lot of uncertainty about how they were going to be enforcing these. DEC has been able to enforce it. It's been largely self-regulating. It hasn't had the hand of government on this. And I just listening to the sponsor and others, the intent is to create the state policy, and it'll only work if we're all civil together. And areas where it has been, the testimony has been there's very few citations that have actually been issued. It's and I don't want to characterize Senator Machicki. He has a broad policy goal of having clean air in our facilities. He just wants me to walk through it on the streets. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding him. But I think this accomplishes the goal of creating the sponsor of creating the statewide ban that he had without bringing a lot more government into it, and a lot of the uncertainty. Health and Social Services is certainly an adventurous department, and they've got their hands full with a couple of other projects. And I think the DEC it has been largely talked to as a clean air issue, breathing the air surrounding. Those are the types of things that DEC does. So, and I didn't intend. I may have. This is a bill where I still have concerns about it, but I wanted this committee to help facilitate getting the bill out in a way that it met his goals, and maybe didn't. Often we get government working on a bill, and the government is more adventurous than a hard-working commercial fisherman from Soldotna. And other jobs.
I don't know if there's anyone more adventurous than me sitting here, Mr. Chairman, but thank you.
I'll remove my objection to the CS. Is there any other maintained objection? I would like to put on the record my colleague who wasn't here. She wanted, when I talked to her this morning, she had to go home for a family emergency. The issue of e-cigarettes, there wasn't anybody that offered an amendment on the committee to that was probably the largest volume of mail and correspondence was those that wish to use e-cigarettes as their less unsafe option to smoking as a cessation tool, and that was a concern she expressed to me, and I'm putting that on the record that's limiting or banning those used in public. It might, that was, and I'm fulfilling my promise to keep that on the record, and it's an issue that a lot of it, well, it was in the earlier part of the session before some other bills got introduced. That was the number one issue of correspondence that many of us received was on the e-cigarettes or the vaping, so forth. And the discussion continues on that, though, and that'll be probably all the way to the floor if your hopes and aspirations for the session are achieved. Did you have any comments on the vaping? Or?
No, the bill has a ways to go, Mr. Chairman. You know, we're evaluating all those issues. It's about protecting Alaskan workers, and we're still evaluating the best way to do that, and if there should be additional exemptions. So we're listening to the public, and we want the best bill possible while impacting the public and businesses as little as possible. So we're still listening.
Are there any amendments before we go? On the fiscal notes, Mr. Brzezinski? Well, why don't we switch?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, fiscal note from the Department of Transportation and Public Facilities, $2,400 for FY16 and $1,000 thereafter. Zero fiscal note. That's for Marine Highway System. DOT International Airport, zero fiscal note. DOT State Equipment Fleet, $1,500. DOT Administration and Support, $10,600 for FY16, and then $1,100 thereafter. Department of Commerce, zero fiscal note. Judiciary Court System, zero fiscal note. Department of Health and Social Services, Division of Public Health, zero fiscal note. And Department of Environmental Conservation, Division of Environmental Health, zero fiscal note.
And this will be a discussion. I questioned some of the fiscal notes and the ability of departments to absorb those, but you'll have to deal with a harsher taskmaster, Senator McKinnon upstairs and Senator Kelly. So if the committee's okay, we'll just leave our commentary to the next committee on the fiscal notes. And you're an active member of that committee.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, the fiscal notes are largely for signage, and our goal is to find a donor so that there's no cost to the state on the increase.
I figured you'd have some innovative work, when you say that. We have Senator Falkill.
Mr. Chairman, with that, I would move that we move from committee the Senate Bill 1, version S, with individual recommendations and the attached fiscal notes.
Hearing no objections, we'll stand briefly at ease to get ready for Senate Bill 74.